Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hello friends, today we are going to see a game between Steinitz and Mogrendien in the year 1862. This game was an amazing game played by Steinitz as he demonstrated his attacking play very well, and as one can see it was quite of an effect. So now it was played e4 d5, the Scandinavian defense, e into d5, queen into d5, knight c, knight c3, queen to d8, a dubious move. A move that is mentioned back in ancient manuscripts, more popular and natural is queen to a5 with definite counter chances, as even occurred in the Castro Anand match in 1995. So now d4, e6. After knight f6, Fischer here played bishop c4, bishop f5, bishop queen f3. Good move. And then after g6, bishop f4, bishop g7, queen d. Now instead of all of this, yeah. So after here, instead of if g6 is played, then after g6, then we play. We can play knight f3. We can even play bishop f4. We can also play bishop to c4, and there are more options here like bishop c4, bishop f4, queen d2, long castle, knight f3, and also instead of knight f3, we can think of castling king side also with rook e1 at the open file, but queen side is good because we have the isolated pawn, so we should attack. Not the isolated pawn, sorry, not the isolated pawn, but queen side castle is would be good. So, well, after e6, now knight f3, knight f6, bishop d3, bishop e7, short castle, short castle. A French type of position has arisen with an extra tempo for white. But in black's justification, it can be said that a similar position with the bishop on c4 occurred in the game Alekhine Spectre in the year 1911. So now after short castle, bishop e3, the alternative is queen e2. Now bishop to e3 and then b6. Or if knight b d7, then knight e5. Good move. Now after b6 is played knight e5, bishop b7. Nice move. So after bishop b7, f4. Well, f4 now f5 is kind of threatened. So after f4, now knight b d7, and then queen to e2. Here f5 also came into consideration, and then there are options in the position. But after queen e2, in the game was played knight to d5, which is actually a dubious move because if you exchange a defender, and here c5 is more logical, but after rook a d1, white is still a little better. So knight d5 is a dubious move. The knight into d5, e into d5. This is very much like Lasker versus Baul. Well, that's like which game? Yeah, the double bishop sacrifice one. Except the knight was on g3 in that game. The knight was on g3. Then an opponent knight was on f6. Knight h5. Knight into h5. Bishop into h7. King into h7. Queen into h5. King g8. And the bishop was on c3, and we could take on g7. But rook f3 is also good. So this is a kind of that game kind of position. And now what should you play? Now rook f3 with the threat of, well, with the classic threat of bishop into h7 check, followed by rook h3, and then queen h5. And well, there's also queen to h5 with the idea of queen h, knight f6, queen h3, bishop c8, and then f5. Yep. And in the game, well, f5 is a good move actually. And in the game, after rook to f3 was played f5, good move. Well, the idea of this move is that it is avoiding the route that is possible after knight into e5, after which f into e5, rook h3, rook f3, queen h5, bishop into h7 check. It's just over in that one. So f5 was played, and then rook to h3. Better is rook f1 with an enduring positional initiative. Does that ring any bells? Yes, it's Steinitz. Steinitz popularized the positional chess, and he didn't discover it until he discovered it late in the late 1800 and 60s, and then he worked on it in the 70s, and in the 80s he was its best practitioner. So rook h3 g after rook h3, now g6, and then g4. Dubious move, according to Lasker, vigorous and enterprising play, but in a view debatable. But it's debatable to say the least. And now f into g5, f into g4, bad move. The essential was knight into e5, f into e5, and then bishop to c8. All right, good move. And then g into f5, bishop into f5, and white has absolutely nothing now. However, the defense collapses. All right. So after f into g4, now pause the video and think what should you play. Rook into h7, brilliant. Where's the brilliant sign? Brilliant move. The start of a bold combination which brought Steinitz the brilliancy prize in the match. But was the rook sacrifice correct? That's the best question. Did black not have a better defense or white a bloodless way to win? Well, the simple queen into g4, this was the bloodless way to win. Threatening sacrifices on g6 and h7 is decisive, just decisive. And it's like mate in 8 moves. I mean, if black doesn't give every piece on the board to avoid checkmate, it's objectively mate in 10 or less. But mate in 10 is when you play knight f6. If you play knight into e5, which is the best move, then you need to play after queen e6 check, rook to f7, brilliant move. And then you need to defend very accordingly. Well, but here instead of queen into g4, better is the, well, actually here in the variation we are discussing, instead of queen e6 check, better is f into e5. Okay, I was tricking. D into e5 is the better move. Yep, that moves the better one, and in that one you are not so lucky. So rook into h7 was played. Amazing sacrifice. King into h7, queen into g4, and then rook to g8. That's a mistake for sure. This loses without any questions, as does rook to f5, because bishop into f5, I mean seriously. Alright, so, but now queen h5 check comes, after which king g7, and then, well, now what? Now what? Alright, we need to buckle up. So here, firstly, let's see from the first. Yep, here, after rook into h7, actually, it was played. Rook into h7, brilliant move. He played knight into e5, inserting an in between. F into e5, king into h7, and then queen into g4. Here threatening queen into g6, but now rook to g8. And then, which is actually rook into g8 is a mistake. So rook to g8 is a mistake. So now queen h5 check, king g7, queen h6 check. Of course not queen into g6 check, though that's a variation many would fall into. Now king to h8 comes and suddenly you are pinned, and it's pretty bad. The least we can say. Yeah, king h8. It's pretty bad here. And if you don't want to resign after queen into g6 or looking king h8, it's bad. It's very bad for white. So after queen h6 check, king f7. Now queen h7 check, king e6. Now queen to h3 check, good move. Maneuvering the queen around. Now king to f7. Playing cat and mouse with the king to just reach the best position for rook to f1 check. Now comes rook to f1 check. e6 check would have concluded the pursuit of king, forcing mate in another 8 moves. But rook f1 check also suffices. Now king to e8. Queen to e6. Now it's very bad. Attack is here. Bishop b5 check. Black is doomed here. So rook g7. And then we play bishop g5, pinning it. Attacking the pinged piece again. Now queen d7, and then we take the free pawn. Thanks for the free pawn. Bishop into g6 check. Rook into g6, queen into g6 check, king d8, and then mate into, can you guess it? Very simple, rook f8 check, queen e8, and then queen into e8 mate. What a beautiful game by Steinitz. He firstly made the impression by the rook into h7 sacrifice. That made the impression. Alright, what a sacrifice. I mean, seriously. It required very proper defense to even reach a worse position for black after this amazing sacrifice. So this was the game. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.